Will the defendant, Raul Valle, please rise and face the jury? Do you find the defendant guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
The Preppy party murder trial verdict was a shocking conclusion for many trial watchers. But a recent development could mean an Act 2. Prosecutors have refiled charges against defendant Raul Valle. He's now going to face first-degree manslaughter as the top count, along with 2 counts of first-degree reckless assault and 1 count of second-degree reckless assault. All of it stemming from a deadly fight at a high school house party back in 2022. A fight that claimed the life of victim James McGrath. I spoke with Jimmy's father, Kevin, after the charges were refiled, and he described his family's resolve in the wake of the verdict and the reaction to a second chance at justice. Kevin and Mike, good morning to you both. Thank you so much for coming on the program. And Kevin, may I just start by saying I am so sorry for your loss, just person to person, so sorry about this tragic loss that you've experienced. And the main thing I want to do in this interview is hear more about your son, Jimmy. So tell us some more about him now, if you would, please.
Sure. Jimmy was just a wonderful, wonderful person. He was, personality, grades, athletic ability. He was the total package. He was just somebody who, when he was electrifying, when he entered a room, it just was brightened. He was funny. He could talk to anybody. It's always one thing to be a popular kid in high school. The popular kid, usually the parents didn't like, but he's a guy that really communicated really well with the parents. And you see that with the support of our foundation, because just people come out and want to be there and want to celebrate his life and his memory and his legacy.
Kevin, what has life been like for your family since Jimmy was taken from you all?
It's a struggle because he was really a big part of all of our lives. His sister, they're Irish twins. They're both born. She was January of 2004. He was December of 2004. So they grew up really, really close. So the void in her heart is tremendous. They're part of the same friend group. They just that night, thankfully she wasn't there to witness what went on. So I know she's struggling, but she's really strong and resilient. And it's the first, I'd say, 2.5 years is the focus of my wife and I are really to get her back into school, because it was what happened her senior year, and she was going off to school for her freshman year, and it was challenging being far away. And it was one of those, we didn't know what the right decision was. Was it to send her away and get her away from all of this, or keep her close? And we're learning as we go for her. My wife and I, not a day goes by that we're not reminded of the tremendous loss that we have.
I'm sure it is, Kevin. It's something that no parent should ever have to go through, no sister should ever have to go through with her baby brother. I am so sorry for this immeasurable loss that your family has suffered. And you mentioned a foundation for anybody unfamiliar. Tell us what you mean by that, something established in Jimmy's memory?
Sure, yes, it was right off the bat. I probably did it too quick, but there was a need for it. What I didn't realize is, I knew Jimmy was very popular in school, had a lot of friends, but what we didn't realize is how much he was helping his friends with their struggles. So we started with a concert in January, right after his birthday. And then we have a golf tournament every year in June. We raise, a couple $100,000, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring it back to the community for people, the kids that are really dealing with these mental health issues. The other thing is we're looking at it as, what could have our foundation, if it was set up 5 years ago, done to help the 3 teens that were responsible for Jimmy's death, these at-risk teens. So we're donating to causes like Wakeman's Boys and Girls Club, the Bridgeport Youth Lacrosse. So any program that could help the mental health of young people that are especially at risk. Wow. The other thing, we also, to thank our are members of law enforcement. We donate to Tunnels to Towers that takes care of veterans and first responders and police officers that have lost their lives in the line of duty. So I think giving back to the community just on different aspects, it helps us move forward.
Oh, I'm sure it does. You know, that's got to feel so good and be somewhat of a bright light in this dark time, Kevin, to know that your son helped so many people and left a legacy of helping people. And now you're continuing on that legacy through the great work of the foundation in his memory. Every good wish with that as you move forward. Let's turn, if we can, please, to the big news of this week, the refiling of charges against Raul Valle. What was your reaction when you heard about the refile?
I think that was the strategy right from the time we heard the verdict, that this was not over. That, you know, the mistrial, I mean, 2020 hindsight, I kind of wish the whole thing was mistrialed, but it wasn't. So, you know, there's still things. I mean, yeah, what shocked me is everyone saw what transpired through court TV. Everyone was there and watched the same case as we saw. And I just couldn't believe is how, you know, Raul Valle stabbed my son and took my son's life, and my son didn't get any justice that day, and Raul Valle walked free. So I don't think that sit well with anyone. You know, specifically the prosecutors, because I think they did a great job. I know there's a lot of information, and we're just shocked that, you know, that he was able to walk free that day. So I know Mark Durso and Tatiana Messina are, you know, working diligently to, you know, get justice for my son.
Kevin, let me ask you this, please. Was Jimmy friends with Raul Valle?
No. Jimmy didn't, they weren't enemies. They just didn't know each other. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the puzzling thing, that it's very interesting, because you heard all the list of names of the kids that were there, and Raul Valle's parents, Mary Beth and Mike Traficante, and Matt Lockovitz's parents, Mike and Jessica. I saw them when I was walking my dog that morning. We were friends. We had actually stopped, probably had a good 5-minute chat. Mary Beth, Mackenzie's mother, is a teacher at my daughter's school, and she was raving how much she loves Rosie. So it's kind of like that was Nick. So he may have known of Raul Valle, because, you know, from what I understood, nobody really approved of Mackenzie dating Raul. So I think, but they didn't know each other. Like, there was no grudge. You know, so that's what's so shocking, that Jimmy wasn't involved in the fight, which is obvious through the hearing, but there's no reason that Raul would go after him. But that's what's so troubling to us. I think the prosecution did a good job. I mean, it's one that there's so much information, and, you know, could there have been stressed some points that you stress less than the other? I mean, yeah, you could always, you know, everyone could pick this apart. Mm-hmm. But I think they did a good job. And again, at the end, what he said is, you know, they couldn't prove intent, but he wasn't acquitted on the lesser charges, and we're going to retry the lesser charges and, you know, get another opportunity for justice.
What a lovely man Kevin McGrath is. He and his family has been through such awful heartbreak. Our hearts go out to them as they continue healing and moving forward. And he and his attorney, who you saw seated there next to him, Mike Rosnick, also told me that they plan to move forward with several different civil lawsuits in the case. Mike Rosnick telling me they intend to hold several people responsible